Greetings viewers at home and welcome on another beautiful show of Retros, your number one favorite show. Today we are the Retros, where we talk about love, lies, truth and pain. Today in the studio I'm joined by this phenomenal guy, Oneo J. Janji. He's a pastor, he's a businessman, he's into construction and he's also into fashion. Before nje mina ngizokhuluma into eziningi ngaye, ake ngimthule, ake ngimnikeze bese na azithule kabanzi ngoba uyazi ukuthi umuntu akahluleki ukuthula wayena. My brother, welcome to the show.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Koza, and the viewers of Retros,
Yeah.
and everyone who's a subscriber of Daveyton TV.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So can you tell the viewers what you do specifically, like?
Okay, now J Church is a pastor in Guatemala. The name of the church is New Covenant Life Tabernacle. Is based in Extension 2 in Guatemala. But I'm also an owner of a company called Eli Asaf Construction Company. I'm busy with construction in that company, but I also own an online store that has to do with clothing and fashion. And the name of the online store is BNE, which is by N Exclusives. For anyone who wants to get into contact with me based on that, they just go to www.neoexclusives.co.za. That's where they will find much concerning my businesses and what I do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
He's into business. Any business like he's not into one business, he's into multiple business. Remember, being a millionaire, you don't need to rely on one salary. Now when what are you doing? After we makishin mama wenzani, after I'm done school, what else do you do? You need to do service of name or so that you may better your life. But today in the studio, we'll be talking about the topic that says love, sex, and money are major factors in a relationship. And what will take, just on the statement, what will take?
Yeah, it is a very broad topic, very interesting as well. However, I think as much as we are saying love, sex, and money as factors in a relationship, one would say we were also supposed to include the word lust, because it is also necessary to understand that relationships have become to a stage where they are artificial.
True.
And I'll explain as we go to depth why do I say we are experiencing artificial love, particularly because of the two factors you've mentioned. When you speak about money and when you speak about sex, you have actually now come to a place where you have actually showed us the gist that people don't enter into relationships no longer for love, but they particularly go to a relationship for certain things. And one would explain why. And one of the great factors that I wished you would also speak about in relationships is what we call peer influence. Because not everyone who is in love is in love. Some people are in relationships based on peer influence. And I'll make an example. In townships, it is a taboo if you are not in a relationship.
True.
In townships, you are actually regarded as a fool if you don't date someone who's married.
True.
In townships, you are not taken serious if you have never lost your virginity.
True.
And those are some of the factors that are reasons why even people find themselves in premature relationships. Now, the word relationship on its own, it is a word that will then push us towards saying you cannot relate with anyone unless you've related first with yourself. Because that's also one of the dangers. The reason why people would pursue people with money in relationships is particularly the fact that they failed to pursue themselves. Because if you pursue money in a relationship, one question I would have for you is this one. Is that, are you trying to be successful through another person's means of success? That is the reason why then money becomes a factor in relationships. It means there's a person who has failed in achieving certain things in their lives and they use relationships to close the gap of their own failures. Let me make an example. A woman would have a dream car and they would use a particular man to achieve a dream car. And you would realize that you would say the person has a type, only to find out that it's not necessarily that they have a type, it's because they have had failures in their lives. And one of them would be that they've also failed in owning a car. And they would use a relationship to close the gap of their failure.
So I love like how you explain everything, like you explain like word by word, love, money, and let's come here. What happens in a relationship when these three factors, there's one that is missing? How does one cope with the two factors and one is missing? Let's say maybe this guy has love and this guy has money, but this guy doesn't have good sex. Well, how do we handle such a relationship?
Diddy, I think it's a problem to think that a relationship has important or money and sex are more important or are actually important in the relationship. And I'm gonna say this to try to oppose certain methodologies that people believe in, which are actually a myth. And I will say that they're a myth because I've been young, I've dated, I've been young.
Sure.
And in having dated as well, you find yourself getting to a stage of marriage. And when you get to marriage, the things that you thought they matter the most in a relationship, you actually realize that they actually don't even play the major role in the relationship. The major role in every relationship, number one, is what we call communication. Before we go to issues that has to do with sexual intercourse and money. And now, we would not say someone is inadequate because they lack money and they have good sex. Because immediately, if we say someone is inadequate because of that, then we miss that people have preferences. There would be a woman who would prefer a providing man, but a man who's bad in sex. Because what is important in her life is a man that will take care of her entire household, and that requires money. But there would be a woman who would prefer to take care of herself and require a man who's good in bed, because that's what she loves the most, more than any other thing. Because we have different love languages. Let me go to that language to say there are different love languages. There are women whose interest is in money, and not particularly money as a mean of exchange, but they are in love with what we call getting what they want, particularly what they love. It might be the language of shoes, language of gifts, and all those things, and that requires money. They only have a love language through gifts. That woman would not be happy unless you bring them something. But there's a woman with a love language of what we call public affection. If you don't hold hands with her in public, she has a concern. If you can't kiss her in public, she has a concern. If you can't love her among your friends and outside society, she has a concern, because the language she understands is the language of public affections. Yeah. She's black, but she understands the language of flowers. She understands the language of chocolates because she loves public affections. The fact that you went out the entire mall, you bought flowers, you held them for her, she has that thing that this is a public announcement that this man loves me. But then you find a woman who has particularly interest, or whose love language is actually what we call romance. But their interpretation of romance is particularly only sexual intercourse. The only language she understands, the only thing she knows is sexual intercourse. She will have a problem if she had met with you and nothing happened. She would think there's something wrong about her. Because the language she understands in love, it is the language of sexual intercourse or intimacy.
Hayi uyazwela ke mbukeli lapha ekhaya ukuthi namhlanje umfundisi wami uJanje ngihlele naye uphethe ibhodo elishisayo nama ngikwazi ukulibamba uyabona we already sweating in the studio because of the topic we're having today. Mina now we thought that there's three major factors in a relationship. Umfundisi wami uthi there's different languages of love, and uyayichaza lento kabanzi lama preferences wabantu. Akaziwena uthini lapho ekhaya ngathi join us on our Facebook page iRetros, kanti follow us on Daveyton TV on YouTube. We're receiving a lecture, you know, and a good one. I'm happy that this show will help a lot of people to understand what is a relationship. Like you said, the word relationship means having a relationship with yourself first before the next person. Let's talk about, like you said, there's women who prefer like the public stance where you just show off in the public forum rather, and some would prefer like romance, of which romance they classify romance but they mean sex, and some would prefer gifts, and some would just prefer a man who will provide. And let's talk about men now. Is there men who are also like that?
Love languages are not gender-based. They would find a common ground in every gender, though there would be found more expressive, or they would find more expression in women, because women are expressive beings. Women are very vocal, though they would say a woman is an introvert, but when they want to put a point across, they are able to do so. They are very expressive, particularly when it comes to love, because it is also important to understand that women are what we call receivers of love, and men are what we call the givers of love. But also because of what I have said, that there are many factors and elements that have diluted what love should be and what love is entirely. Our interpretation of love has particularly only found itself or expression in what we call feelings, which is a kind of love in Greek called phileo. Love in Greek is categorized, and the category of love is that there's love called, the love that is called agape, mostly identified with God, which is the love that means an unconditional love. The word agape simply means an unconditional love. But there's also what we call phileo in Greek, which is the love based on feelings, which is the love that is conditional, and which is mostly what young people experience as love today. It's not necessarily the agape, because the agape love means in the absence of everything, I still love you. The agape love means the same man who's good in sex today might have testicle cancer tomorrow, and I will still love him. But the filial love says, when the sex is no longer good, I will leave. When he loses money, I will leave, because this love is based on feelings. It's based on what he does at that particular time. But agape says, even in the absence of the money that attracted me, I will still love him. Now, the attraction of agape moves beyond what the person has. But the attraction of filial is based on the person's preference. And I wanted to also say this, that sometimes we think people love money in relationships only to miss what we call motivations. People are motivated by different circumstances to be in relationships sometimes. Someone might be might be from a background that is disadvantaged, and they see a relationship as a discipline that will change their lives. And our interpretation of that person would be a gold digger, only to understand that she might have tried all aspects of getting out of poverty, only to find out that a relationship was the fastest one to answer, to be an answer around her poverty and a disadvantaged background. And secondly, it's a challenge. It's important to see that. It's important to understand.
Right now, like, you know, how many women we've labeled gold diggers. You know, how many women have built a Makaya Bubo, you know, how many women have done wonders within the community, and we labeled Ufeb and all that. But now they're explaining to me that I kind of have a different feel about it.
And ngicabanga ukuthi okunye okumele sibe honest ngakho singabantu abasha yilokho ukuthi umuntu umthatha kumele wena kuqala uthatha isikhathi sakho understand ukuthi wena nje modeli yini uyifunayo. Understanding lokho bese uyakwazi lokho okufunayo, uzokwazi nokumlanda umuntu omfunayo. Now ama-danger ukuthi also nathi sizithola sisebenzisa ama-relationships for self-discovery. Sifuna ukuzithola ngama-relationships. Kanti at that point sometimes siyalimala, and ngizwenza umzekelo kuba nabantu futhi ababa kuma-relationships ukudila nama-pains wama-past relationships. Labo bantu in most cases they are the ones who inflict pains in most relationships. They inflict hurt in most relationships because they are trying to deal with the past hurts from other relationships. So let's go back to the issue of money and go back to the issue of sex, because that is an interesting issue.
True.
Most people who love sex, they mostly ignore the social impact that comes with sex. Sex may last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, but the danger is the social impact can last more than 50 years. Let me say this.
Okay.
There are social impacts that are brought by sex that we want to overlook because we only want to focus on the passions of sex, the pleasure of sex, and not understand that today we have single parents because of sex.
True.
Today we have children whom we have labeled as children who are given to Nyaobe, not understanding that it is because they don't have fathers based on sexual pleasures.
True.
The same sex that we loved is the same sex that has created what we call an imbalanced society today.
True.
And if we only look at sex that way and not want to look at the social impact, we'll be in trouble.
Exactly.
And the social impact would say there are people who end up even having HIV/AIDS, unwanted pregnancies, teenage pregnancies. Secondly, the issue of single parenting. And all these things are brought up by what we call sex, because you only want to focus on the pleasure and we want to overlook the social impact.
That's right.
That sex on its own has a social impact. Then we also go back to money as well. Money on its own as well has a social impact. Because the money we want to acquire, it is the money that will make us have nice cars, the money that will make us buy alcohol, and the social impact of that money as well, if overlooked, we will end up having messed up societies because of things that we wanted for a particular time. So what will be my advice to someone at home, particularly on the issue of money, if it's a woman or a man, is that it is important to know that also relationships can serve as a discipline that helps both of us to acquire wealth. Not to use relationships as a place of wealth. You can't use someone else's money to be the one that actually becomes your level or your place of acquiring wealth. You can't. Because chances are the person you are in love with, if they don't teach you how to make the money that you are after, chances are when they leave you, you will still remain the same.
True.
And secondly, you can be exploited in the relationship because the man is not a fool at times. They can actually see that you are with them because of money, and they will start to exploit you. And they would ensure that they only buy you things that will not last. And you find that out of that relationship as well, you don't acquire assets, you don't acquire things that will actually show us that you were in a relationship with a millionaire. Because the millionaire has actually seen that the only thing that motivated you to be with them is money. So we need to move from that mentality also as women and start to become entrepreneurs as women. I would rather be in a relationship with a woman that would want to acquire a driver's license from the relationship than a woman that would want to acquire a passenger seat for more than 15 years in a relationship and they can't drive. Particularly because they wanted to use my life as a better image for their lives, only to find out that they were creating a false image.
But I hope you enjoyed today's topic and leave your comment down there. Like get hold of us as Studio Say to come have questions with us that we'll address through talk shows and all that. And if people wanna get hold of you, people wanna converse with you, people wanna have questions because you have so much source, you know, you've got so much information. Where can they get hold of you?
Okay, if anyone wants to get hold of me on Facebook, it's NeoJ Ministry, NEOJ. Then Ministries, you can find me on Facebook. Then my WhatsApp number for those who actually have questions is 079-290-7865, or you can get me from my email jatinj@gmail.com, which is tyinj@gmail.com. And then you can also visit our local church. Our services start at 10 a.m. up to 11:30 at Kwatema Pilang School. We are using the auditorium there in Kwatema Extension 2. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for gracing us with such information. The entire world needs such information so that we may better our lives and be better parents tomorrow. So I think I'll pass the information to our Zukulu and the rest of the family. From me and the rest of the family, we love to say love, lies, truth and pain till we meet again.